masterpiece of late Renaissance architecture, is open to the public all year round. One of the greatest neoclassical sculptors of the 19th century was Antonio Canova, who was born in Pazzagno at the foothills of the Alps. Towards the end of his life, he returned to his birthplace, and in 1819 began to build this neoclassical temple as a Christian church. His inspiration came from the Pantheon in Rome, which started life as a pagan temple, but then became an early Christian church. The portico was inspired by the Parthenon on the Acropolis in Athens. In this way, Canova exalted the art of three great civilizations: Christian art, Roman art, and Greek art. Little did he know when he started work on the temple that he was actually building his own mausoleum, as he died in 1822. His body was interred inside as the building work continued on this striking neoclassical temple, which was finally finished in 1830. Close to Vicenza, our final destination, is the 17th century villa Verona ai Nani, and a very sad legend. The Ainani means the dwarves, and the story goes that a princess who lived in the villa was a dwarf, and her parents, thinking it would be kind, employed dwarves as her servants and companions, and kept her away from the world outside. One day, a prince appeared in the garden, and the princess suddenly realized how small she was, and threw herself off the roof. Her servants were so distraught with her death that they became literally petrified with grief, and now stand guard on the villa's walls. Also close to Vicenza is this unusual walkway to a church on top of the hill, the Portico del Monte Berico. It was built in the 18th century and is 700 meters long, with 150 arches grouped in sections. It not only kept worshippers dry, but the arches symbolized the 150 Hail Marys in the Rosary. In an almost modern marketing deal, each arch was sponsored and bears the name of an individual or organization. On the top of the hill is the Basilica di Santa Maria di Monteberico. This 18th century church replaced a predecessor built 3 centuries earlier. It was claimed that the Virgin Mary appeared on this hill in 1426 and promised that if the people of Vicenza built a church, she would rid them of the plague. A church was constructed within 3 months. For centuries, Vicenza has been known as the mainland Venice. So great is its artistic and architectural heritage. It is perhaps better known today as the city of Palladio. It was here in Vicenza that Andrea Palladio lived and worked in the early 16th century, and 23 of his buildings still survive in the city. The work that got him noticed was the colonnaded outer shell of the old Gothic town hall. It shows one of the first examples of what was to become known as the Palladian window, a classical reinterpretation of Roman designs. Next to the renamed Basilica Palladiana is a statue of the great architect. His buildings can be found in most of the streets. Some stand out, like the Palazzo del Capitaniato, built for the city's military leader in 1571. And others, such as the Palazzo Tiene, built in 1542 around a colonnaded courtyard almost hidden from view. Another of his influential buildings is the Palazzo Caricati. Nothing like this had been seen at the time, when construction began in the 1550s. Looking at the building today, it's possible to see many other buildings around the world which have been inspired by this palazzo. However, there is one building of Palladio's which has perhaps been more influential than any other. From a modest entrance off a quiet lane, a straight drive leads to the Villa Almerico Capra, better known as the Villa Rotonda. This house has probably inspired 1,000 subsequent buildings, but Palladio's inspiration came from the Pantheon in Rome. He adapted the design to include 4 porticos because, in his words, one takes pleasure in the beautiful view on all 4 sides. The building is square, with a circular central hall open to all 4 sides. Building began in 1567. However, Palladio and the owner, Paolo Almerico, were not to see the finished villa, as both died before its completion. His assistant of many years, Vincenzo Scamozzi, oversaw the villa's completion, including the dome with its open oculus, but now covered with a cupola from a later century. Palladio's vision of a classical past, adapted to domestic living, has been perfected in this building. He is now considered one of the world's greatest ever architects. And his houses, particularly the Villa Rotonda, have been a source of inspiration for architects ever since. A perfect place to end this journey.